Today we are looking at long division. One of the strategies that we used in class is using an acronym which helps us follow very specific steps. So let's write down our acronym. So we have Dad, Mum, Sister, Brother, Rover. D actually stands for division. Mother stands for, or Mum stands for multiplication. Sister stands for subtraction. Brother stands for bring down. And Rover either stands for repeat, so repeat all these steps, or remainder. So these are the steps of long division, and again a way to remember it is Dad, Mum, Sister, Brother, Rover. So let's apply this to an example. So let's have a look. If we had the question 5,361 divided by 5, we are going to start by attempting our question. This requires a few steps, more so than others that we've looked at in previous videos. To be able to attempt this question, firstly you need to write it in the correct format. So we put our 5 outside our little house, and then we write 5,361 in our house. Also, for attempt, for those who really struggle with the steps, I want you to write the acronym. So Dad, Mum, Sister, Brother, Rover. I then also want you to write the multiples of our number here. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. All of this that's written in blue is worth 1 mark. So when we talk about attempting a long division sum, I want to see this. If this is all you can do in terms of this sum, then you have met a goal by attempting it. This allows me to see that 1, you actually know what our divisor is. You are telling me that you actually know the process of long division. You might not know how to apply it, but you still tell me that you know. And you also know multiples that are relevant to this sum. All of these are very important numeracy skills. So let's start the sum. So we're going to start with our first number here. Now I want you to do a few things. I want you to move this hand along the steps, and I don't want you to leave after you've written the last number. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So let's do our first sum here. So our first sum is 5 divided by 5. So 5 divided by 5. So let's have a look. How many 5s? What's the closest thing here? 5, which is 1. So our answer to our division sums go up the top. Now I'm not going to move my hand till I move down my steps. I'm going to go down M. M is for multiply. I'm now going to multiply the last number I just wrote with my divisor. So 5 times 1. So 5 times 1 is 5. So all my multiplication answers go below here. I'm not going to move this hand till I've moved down my steps. S. S is for subtract. So I'm going to subtract my last number that I wrote. So subtract. 5 take away 5 equals 0. This is telling us there are no remainders. And I'm not going to leave here till I move down my process. B. B is to bring down. So I'm going to bring down my 3. And R is for repeat or remainder. I'm not ready for a remainder yet because I've still got some more numbers. So I'm going to repeat. And I'm going to go back to the top. I'm just going to fill in this number here so we know our processes. Okay, beautiful. Now, to help in terms of learning, I'm just going to change text to colours because we're now on to the next number. Okay, now the last number I wrote was the 3. So now I'm going to say 3 divided by 5. So 3 divided by 5. So let's have a look at our multiples. Now there is no 3 here. So what we're always going to do is we're going to go back a step. So the closest one is 5, and we're going to go back. So it's not 1, it's 0. Okay, because we can't, if you look at 3, we can't fit any 5s in there. Okay, there's no 5s in here, so we're going to write 0. So 3 divided by 5 is 0. Now this is my last number I've written. I'm not going to move my hand. I'm going to go down the process. So we've got 5 times 0, because my next letter is M. So 5 times 0 is 0. I'm going to move down. I'm not going to move my hand here. It's subtract. And the last number I've written is 0, and we're going to subtract these two here. So 3 take away 0 is 3. And I'm not going to move my hand. I'm going to move my processor's hand, and that's B for bring down. So what am I bringing down? I'm bringing down my 6. So now this last number that I've written is actually 36. So we go to R, and that is to repeat or remainder. So I'm not ready for my remainder yet because I've still got a few numbers to deal with. So I'm going to repeat back to divide. I'm going to swap over just to get another colour. So we're back at divide. So what was my last number? 36. That's what my last number is that I wrote. So it's 36 divided by 5. So let's have a look at our multiples down here. What is the closest thing? It's 35. So you're looking for the number that's closest without going over. Okay, because 36 sits here. So what's this here? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So remember my division sum, goes up the top here. I'm not going to move this hand, I'm going to go down a process. So what's the last number I wrote? 7, 5 times 7. So 5 times 7, if you're not sure about the answer for 5 times 7, we have a look at our multiples down the bottom of our page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 35. So my answers for multiplication go down the bottom here, so 35. This is the last number I've written. I'm going to move down my process hand. So S for subtraction. So now I've got 36, take away 35. So let's do this. So 6 take away 5 is 1. 3 take away 3 is 0. So we've got 1 left over. Now I bring down, because I'm up to B. What have I got here? A 1. So the next number I'm dealing with is 11. So I'm still not up to the remainder bit, I'm still on repeat. So I'm going to repeat the process using the number 11 because that's the last number I wrote. So I'm going to grab one last colour here. So we're back. Our last number is 11. So I'm going to say 11 divided by 5. So 11 divided by 5, if you're not sure, let's have a look at our multiples. What's the closest number without going over? 10. So that's actually 1, 2. So our answers for our division sums are 2, and we write them up the top. I'm not going to leave here because this is the last number I've written. I'm going to move my process hand. So now we're saying 2 times 5 because 2 is the last number that I have written. And 2 times 5 is 10, and we write out multiplication answers down here. Not going to move this one. I'm going to move my process hand, which is S. S is for subtract. I'm going to subtract my two numbers here. So I've got 1 take away 0 is 1. 1 take away 1 is 0. And I'm just going to write that here. So 11 take away 10. Now I'm going to bring down. Now can I bring down? I can't. I've got nothing to bring down here. So that means we are now up to our remainder. So if you're still struggling with this concept and you're not quite ready to move on to decimal remainders, all I want you to do is write a little r and a 1. And if that's all you can do for now, then I'm more than happy for you to leave this. So the key here is to always deal with the last number you've written and to follow each of these processes. You don't need to write these sums. These are just so that you know where these different numbers have come from when you look back at the video. But what I do want you to do is always remember you're following this process and you're constantly doing it till you get to the remainder, and that you're always dealing with the last number that you've written. Now, what we might do is we might actually do an additional example. And I'm going to move a little bit quicker with this one, just for those who may want to actually try and attempt something more difficult. So if I have a sum of 3,426 divided by 3. So let's have a talk about in terms of attempting. If we're going to attempt this question, I want you to write it in the correct format. So the divisor goes out here, 3,426. I want you to write the acronym. So Dad, Mum, Sister, Brother, Rover. And we're going to write the multiples of the divisor. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, and 36. Oh. Okay. So to be able to attempt this question, I want to see this correct format, I want to see the process, and I want to see multiples. Again, these are important skills that we are constantly assessing in maths.